If I told you that the Women's World Cup was first played in 1973, 2 years before the Men's World Cup actually took place, you'd probably think I'm kidding, but that's true. Women actually took the sport of cricket global much before men even had their first coin toss in a World Cup. The same game, once played with borrowed kits, no salaries, and second-class train tickets, is now a multi-crore industry.
The International Cricket Council raised the prize pool to a record $14 million, the highest in the tournament's history. India's share, more than $4 million.
In just the last 5 years, player salaries have gone up like crazy, and viewership, which was just around 50 million in the year 2023, has crossed over 300 million in the year 2025. To put that into perspective, the 2025 Women's World Cup that was recently played, the viewership for that tournament was equivalent to the viewership of the T20 Men's World Cup that was played in 2024. And yes, that's real data. So how did women's cricket go from being funded by Mandira Bedi's endorsement fee to being at a place where big sponsors like Tata are vying for title sponsorship rights? And most importantly, how did a sport which was once being treated as a charity turn into India's fastest growing businesses? Let's break that down today. This is the business story of Indian women's cricket, and it's one of the biggest comebacks you've never been told about. Picture this. It's 1973, Lucknow. There's no BCCI, no sponsors, not even a proper scorecard. Just a group of women with cricket bats and huge dreams that had to be registered with the Societies Act. That's when the WCAI, the Women's Cricket Association of India, was formed, India's first body for women's cricket. They kicked off things in the same year, 1973, with the first interstate tournament held in Pune. 3 teams participated: Mumbai, Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh. That's it. No sponsor, no jerseys, just a pure passion to play. For the next 30 years, the WCAI organized everything for women's cricket. They organized camps, they organized tours, they organized the matches, but with pocket change. During this era, there were no contracts, there were no broadcasters, and there were definitely no brand deals for women cricketers. Players literally bought their own kits and travelled in second-class train compartments to play games. It was so difficult that in the early 2000s, the actor Mandira Bedi, yes, the same one from Extra Innings, actually used funds from her endorsement fee to sponsor a women's cricket tour. That's how bare bones the system was. Cut to November 2006, when the BCCI merged with the WCAI, making sure that the women's cricket fell under the same organization as men's cricket. It wasn't overnight magic, but it changed everything. Once BCCI stepped in, things started to move. In 2015, they actually introduced central contracts for women cricketers, which made sure that women could now pursue cricket professionally and not just rely on railways jobs to sustain them. But that was not it. Money was still not flowing into women's cricket. When did women's cricket turn into a money-making sport? The journey, I would say, began from one match, one inning that changed everything. Let's go there.
Luckily, I got a free hit at that moment. That shot was a very motivating shot for me. I was like, I just want to hit all the ball out of the park. I was just feeling like that.
What power, what placement.
This is an onslaught from Harmanpreet Kaur.
July 20th, 2017, County Ground Derby, India versus Australia. And Harmanpreet Kaur decides to go superhuman. 171 not out of just 115 deliveries. And suddenly, India isn't just the other team anymore. It actually made people stop scrolling, stop switching channels, and just stare. India eventually lost in the final of that World Cup, but 180 million people watched that World Cup. In terms of viewing hours, there was a 300% rise from the previous edition in 2013. In terms of cultural significance, Kapil Dev's innings of 175 in the 1983 World Cup is probably the only innings that could compare with Harmanpreet Kaur's innings in this 2017 World Cup. So what changed? Before 2017, women's cricket was quiet. India played barely 8 to 10 ODIs a year. Maybe just 5 to 8 T20s a year. There were mini tours, barely any highlights for viewers to watch. After 2017, average of 12 to 16 ODIs a year, a full bilateral series, Tri-Nation trophies, even the Commonwealth Games in 2022. More matches meant more visibility on television, which meant more opportunities to attract sponsors. In October 2022, BCCI actually made history. It announced equal pay for Indian women's cricketers. What that meant is every time a women cricketer played a test match, she earned the same amount of money that a men's cricketer would earn playing a test match. For a test match, that means 15 lakhs. For a one-day international, it means 6 lakhs. For a T20 international, it means 3 lakhs. New numbers for BCCI Central Contracts 2025 are also interesting. Grade A players earn 50 lakhs. Grade B players earn 30 lakhs and Grade C players earn 10 lakhs. If you add that up, somebody like a Smriti Mandhana, who's a Category A player, would play 5 ODIs and 6 T20s a year, would earn an amount of 98 lakhs a year. That is just from match fees and her annual contract. And that's before the endorsements and the leagues. That one announcement changed the entire narrative. From there being equality in sentiments, now being an equality in payslips. That one innings from Harmanpreet Kaur lit the fuse. It showed the BCCI that women's cricket was not a sideshow, it was a main event.
A very warm welcome from my side as well to the Women's Premier League Player Auction 2023. Smriti Mandhana.
Typical Mandhana this. Down the ground, first boundary of the game.
Congratulations at 340 lakh.
This is the money chapter. This is the point when women's cricket stopped asking for validation and started asking for valuation. The Women's Premier League actually started off as an experiment. They started off by playing a single match in 2018, then moved on to having 3 teams in 2019, 2020 and 2021. In October 2022, the BCCI made a historical announcement by announcing the first T20 league for women in India. Just 4 months later, in March 2023, the Women's Premier League was born. It wasn't an experiment, it was a statement, a 5-team league built just like the IPL. In Jan 2023, BCCI opens the bids and boom, 5 teams gone for 4,670 crores. That's nearly $500 million worth of investment before a single delivery was even bowled. 3 of BCCI's existing partners from the IPL, Reliance, JSW GMR and Diageo bought 3 of the 5 teams, and cricket got 2 new entrants as team owners through women's cricket, Capri Global and Adani Group, who bought 2 teams in the WPL too. And then came the sponsors. The Tata Group came on as title sponsors for the WPL and added a lot of credibility to the league. The league also got other associate sponsors like Syntex and Herbalife. Then came on-air sponsors like Dream11, Siat, Amul, Noise, H&M and Bank of Baroda. Not to mention the real curveballs, World Gold Council and JSW Paints. When categories like jewelry, dairy and fashion start sponsoring cricket, you know it's not just a sport anymore, it's a lifestyle product. Then comes the broadcast. That's when the big boys entered the play. Viacom 18 won the rights for streaming women's cricket, the WPL in India, for a staggering 951 crores. That's 160 crores per year to stream live Women's Premier League. It was live on Sports 18 and Jio Cinema. And for the first time, you could start your television or open your phone and you could stream and watch women's cricket like an appointment viewing for other sports. Before this, there was no organized calendar for women's cricket. Matches were randomly organized. But now, you could just open your phone or start your television knowing when a women's cricket league is going to start and you could watch that. Then came the first player auction. And if anyone thought it was symbolic, Smriti Mandhana's price tag said otherwise. 3.4 crores for RCB, the most expensive buy in the inaugural season of the WPL. Ash Gartner and Nat Siver Brunt went for 3.2 crores each. Deepti Sharma for 2.6 crores. Jemima Rodriguez 2.2 crores. The total auction spend was 59.5 crores. For context, that's more than the entire budget of women's cricket just a decade ago. The viewers showed up in numbers. The first year, 2023, over 50 million watched the first 14 matches and over 10 million just turned up on Jio Cinema to watch the final. In the year 2024, viewership doubled, 103 million for the first 15 matches. And 2025, the first match itself drew a viewership of 30 million. By the time the 2025 season ended, viewership had reached 300 million. That's an increase of 150%. That's not just growth, that's a proof that it's a product market fit. In just 3 years, the WPL went from being a press release to a 5,000 crore ecosystem. It's not women's cricket anymore, it's cricket. Full stop. a legitimate entertainment product with sponsors, money, and a global reach. November 2nd, 2025, DY Patil Stadium, Navi Mumbai, India versus South Africa. A home crowd of almost 40,000 and millions watching around the world. India wins by 52 runs. The Indian women's team become ICC champions for the first time. It was a timeline correction. 50 years of efforts converging into one perfect night. ESPN Cricinfo called it a culmination for Indian women, a beginning for Indian women. This win could do for women's cricket what the 1983 World Cup win did for overall cricket in India. Back then, Kapil Dev's cricket team changed the country's relationship with cricket forever. Now, Harmanpreet Kaur's team might have just done the same for so many young athletes in India. I want to just throw in two numbers here. The viewership for the Women's World Cup 2025 final was equivalent to the Men's T20 World Cup final played in 2024. The digital reach for this World Cup was higher than the combined reach of the last three World Cups. The ICC also got into action for this specific World Cup. Usually the ICC has a set group of partners, sponsors who come on and sponsor all the tournaments that ICC conduct. The men's event, the under-19 events and also the women's cricket events. But for this specific World Cup, they got two huge partners to just come and partner women's cricket, Women's World Cup, Google and Unilever, which shows the amount of confidence that brands have now got to come and partner with ICC for specific women's cricket events. From borrowed kits and train rides to 3.5 crore contracts and over 300 million viewers. This is payback, and this is just the beginning. If the 1983 World Cup win made India fall in love with cricket, the 2025 World Cup win will make India believe that it belongs to everyone. For an every Smriti Mandhana cover drive or an Harmanpreet Kaur 6, there's a young girl somewhere in India who's raising her bat not just for fantasy, not just in her dreams, but to build a career. And that's the real victory, not just the World Cup, for a system that actually pays what it preaches. Women's cricket in India has crossed an important milestone with this World Cup win. But this is just the beginning. There's a T20 World Cup coming up soon in May 2026. And how we progress to that will show whether this is going to be a serious business or just a brand wagon. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. We'll come back with more episodes about the business of Indian sport.